so thanks everyone for coming. This is an MPAC webinar for artists, and it's actually for agents as well. We sort of group them all in together when we're talking about applications, especially for showcases. I am gonna basically introduce the conference and talk about the showcase and the application process and give you some tips. And we'll actually look at the platform on I Want to Showcase as well. And I will do my best to make sure that we have some time for questions from you directly. And for the time being, I think that if you have a lot of background in your room, go ahead and mute yourself and feel free to unmute if you have a question or raise your hand. And Rob, if you don't mind helping me keep track of if anyone's put a question in the chat, if I don't notice it, just feel free to let me know. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so first off, I want to share some general information about our conference. It happens every October. And I'd love to see a show of hands or maybe in the chat if anyone else has been to a booking conference before. Let me know. There we go. Now I can see the grid. So if you ever have been to another booking conference or heard about one, like say Arts Northwest or the North Carolina Presenters Consortium, NCPC, or Western Arts Alliance, WA, you'll find the concept of MPAC will be probably pretty similar. Basically, it's this annual gathering where representatives from Montana presenting organizations and other venues can get together to preview the work of touring artists who have expressed an interest in coming to Montana to share what they do. The main goal is to give artists and presenters what they need to plan tours for the coming seasons. And in a nutshell, artists need a chance to promote their work to the people that will potentially book them. Presenters need a chance to preview that work and gather info on artist fees, tech requirements, lodging, and any other details that they would need to plan on supporting or providing for. And everybody needs time and space to meet and get to know each other and do things like talk about dates, talk about what is needed in terms of what a community is looking for in a series or in a performance, and what an artist has to share. And these are some pictures from some of our past conferences. So there's a showcase on the left and some networking and workshop photos on the right. I'm going to use last year's schedule to show you how things generally go. And this year's schedule will be very similar. The schedule doesn't change all that much from year to year. Friday's kind of generally the same. Saturdays all showcases, but I'll go into that right now. So basically on Friday afternoon, everyone arrives, and early in the afternoon, the artists will start doing their 30-minute tech rehearsals in preparation for their Saturday performance. While these tech rehearsals are going on in the theater, we use our Civic Center space to have social events and professional development workshops. They're mostly geared towards the presenters because the artists are busy doing their tech rehearsals. But there are some important things for artists to know about the Friday activities that you should take advantage of, especially if you can. If you get here early enough, feel free to come to the opening reception. That's a great time to just meet people and see what's going on. And Turn the Tables is also a very important event as well. This is where the presenters actually get to sit at what you could think of as a booth. We actually just use the dining tables. They put out brochures for their venues and for their series, and they get to be the ones at the booth showcasing what they do or information about their communities. And artists and agents have the chance to just walk up to any table and say hello and start a conversation. If you've been to other conferences, there's sort of a expectation that if you're in the resource room or the exhibit hall and you're the artist or the agent, you wait to be approached. In this particular event, you do not have to wait you get to be the one that decides who to approach and when to do it. Of course, you want to be cordial and polite. If somebody's already in conversation, you don't want to interrupt them, but it's kind of a unique switching of roles there. The 5 for 5 session is also one that we'll talk about more later. And this is a quick pitch opportunity. So anyone that's not showcasing on Saturday will have the chance to give a quick 5-minute pitch. Sometimes it'll involve maybe a singer-songwriter or somebody that, with a simple setup, maybe playing a song or two. Sometimes it's an agent that is sharing a couple of acts from their roster that they think are going to work really well in Montana. So it's pretty flexible. We do plan that ahead of time. And just so you know, if somebody, when we finish the jury applications, we'll select some alternates to stand in or to move into the showcase spot if someone has to cancel or they cannot accept their invitation. And what we'll typically do is we'll have those alternates be in this quick pitch session, just sort of like on standby, especially if they're already planning to come, they're available to, switch to showcase mode in case that opportunity opens up. So that's Friday. And I just want to make a point that I go to a lot of trouble to make sure that your tech rehearsals are scheduled with breaks at important times where you can go to things like Turn the Tables or important social events. And Turn the Tables is kind of the big one for Friday. So please, if you do happen to come, please do go to those or pay attention to the parts of the schedules that indicate that this is a very good artist event that artists should be going to, artists and agents. When I say artists right now, I'm talking about both artists and agents. Usually if I am stuck in a situation where I have to put a tech rehearsal during Turn the Tables, I'll try to make it be for an artist who has an agent that will be there and can go on their behalf. So that's how I try to make it work as best as I can. And sometimes it's a little complicated, but usually we do okay in the end. On Saturday, we have all of the showcases, and there are 3 of them. We have 17 different artists, and they play for 12 minutes each, with typically a 5-minute break in between each set to redo the stage. After each showcase, we have about an hour in our resource room, also known as an exhibit hall. And that's a chance where presenters and artists can follow up with questions, engage interest, and learn more about audiences or the artist program offerings. And that's a good time for when presenters are excited about what they just saw. Then they'll probably, go up to the booth where of a few people that they're really interested in starting to make some plans with, and they will talk to you during those resource room hours. Things to take advantage of on Saturday, aside from obviously the showcase and the resource room time, are the artist closing meeting, which is your chance to meet with your artist representative and vote for them, because it is a 1-year term. So there would be a chance to re-elect Rob or nominate somebody new. And then also the jam session. This is really important because it's a really fun part of the conference. It's sort of secretly our 4th showcase, but very unofficially. Basically, it's literally a jam session where the artists who are all there for the weekend will get together with the presenters. We all go to an establishment, usually across the street or very close to the venue. And our sound engineers will bring some basic backline, some keyboards and microphones and maybe some drum sets, but or 1 drum set. And the artists literally get a chance to jam with each other and just do something spontaneous. And that makes actually a big difference. Presenters really like to see artists participate that, and it's less formal. It's just a lot of fun. So I always try to advertise that as much as possible so people know to stay through the very end of Saturday. So yeah, just make note of that if you do plan to come. Then on Sunday, this is a day when actually most artists and agents will leave probably pretty early in the morning to get to the next gig or go to the next conference. And that's okay. This is mostly presenter stuff that happens on Sunday. We have a block booking meeting, which is open only to presenters anyways. And then we have sort of a joint closing session. It's sort of like it's kind of like the artist closing session where people get to talk about what worked at the conference and what didn't work, and offer suggestions, and that helps us all plan for next year. And then we have our board meeting. And let's see, did I forget anything? Oh, yes, after the block booking meeting, where we've basically collected the interest of all the presenters, they'll basically go through the list of all the showcase artists and the quick pitch artists, and they will indicate who they are planning to contact to book for the next season, or maybe the one after that. And then we will put that in a report, and that goes to all MPAC members, regardless of if they went through the conference at all. Because that is what everyone uses to sort of go forward with making more specific plans for the coming season. And I'm just checking the chat really quick for questions. I don't think I see anyone, but again, feel free to put your questions in the chat. All right, and so again, just to reiterate, jam session is on Saturday night, and I try to make this as clear as possible. There's always at least one person who gets to the end of Saturday and they say, "Oh, dang, I have to leave. I didn't realize like I should stay till the end." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I said it many times." Or wrote it in many emails, and try to make it very clear. So just remember, if this is something you end up doing, plan to stay through Saturday night. It is a really fun time. And Rob, do you have anything to add about the jam session or the schedule so far?
Well, yeah, I was just going to mention that I've been told by a lot of the presenters that when they see the musicians jam together, that's kind of like that's the time when they go, yeah, we want that artist in our community. So it's a good thing. And this last year I tried to herd the cats a little bit so that it was a little more organized, and I have a better idea of how to do it this coming year. So, but I think it was pretty entertaining this last year. So,
yeah, I thought it was amazing. I've got some videos from the last fall that I'm looking forward to sharing on social media. So yeah, thank you so much. So that's our schedule. And I want to talk about like why you should consider going. And a lot of that has to do with who is going to be at the conference, besides the other artists and the other agents. They're great to meet too. But it's a great opportunity to see many different Montana presenters all in one weekend. There are some presenters from larger cities that have larger budgets and actual professional paid staff, and they have budgets that allow them to go to bigger regional conferences like Arts Northwest or WA, like I mentioned, or even APAP. But there are many more smaller organizations from small communities. They're small but mighty, but they may be all volunteer run. And so taking the time and the expense to like travel to another state for something like this is really just not feasible for them. So that's why MPAC is special. Like this is accessible to many more presenters that are bringing the arts to their communities. And this map is pretty current. The blue dots are some of our, they're presenters. The red dots are also presenters. They're also in a program called Presenter Development. And so those are small rural organizations that we support through this program. And then the yellow dots are other communities that are served by our member presenters. So yeah, and we're slowly adding more and more dots to this map, I'm happy to say. So yeah, you might see, like maybe the Alberta Bear, that's a very big venue in Billings, which is the biggest city in Montana. Like you might see somebody from that venue show up at a WA or an APAP or an Arts Midwest or MAX conference, but you probably won't see any of the pink dots show up because again, they're very small, they're very rural, probably all volunteer run. Other reasons to consider MPAC, or why people have said that they love it, it is a smaller conference. We have only just over 1 million people in the state of Montana, so that sort of is reflective of the scale. But if this is your first ever booking conference, it could be a really great experience. It's a very manageable size. It's pretty easy to feel like you get to meet almost everybody, especially if you have all the catered meals with everyone and you attend all of the different social and networking events. Um, and we don't schedule any concurrent activities or allow any private showcases, which means that attendees, they don't have to pick one event over another. Like nothing is, we don't ever have two things happening at the same time, except for those tech rehearsals, which we keep in mind when we're scheduling things that are specifically beneficial to artists. But generally, there's only one thing happening at a time, so people don't need to worry about missing anything. Also, if you are applying for both the Arts Northwest Showcase and the MPAC Showcase, we have the timing worked out pretty well, so you can do both, and you can do all of your Northwest travel in the span of a week, hopefully, and hopefully that's convenient for you. Everyone's needs and schedules are different, but we have found that this has worked the last couple of years that we've tried it. So what will sometimes happen is, or we've had some artists who showcase at MPAC first, and then they head on to Spokane or Portland or Seattle to do their Arts Northwest showcase. So they get to do it twice, and it's sort of like, you can even think of it as a warm up for the second showcase if you want to. If that's helpful, that's totally fine. And I actually attend Arts Northwest as well, so I get to see you all there again for the rest of the week. It's also just a really fun event. It's unique. I don't think there's any other conference that has an event like Turn the Tables or a jam session. Sometimes it's karaoke night, but the jam session is pretty special because you actually can play your instruments if you want to. We had a comedian that sort of served as the MC just on the fly for a small bit of that, and that was pretty fun too. Let's see. All right. Welcome everyone else who has just shown up. And I'm going to go ahead and repost this introductory chat just in case you didn't see it. But it looks like everyone's introducing themselves. Thank you so much. So the last reason to consider this conference is that Montana is a really wonderful place. We have many awesome little communities that are really strong in showing up for the arts. And people do love it here. It's a beautiful landscape, but also, again, really beautiful communities. These are pictures actually on this slide. It's from a venue called the Belt Performing Arts Center, and it's about 30 to 40 minutes away from where I am right now, in a small town of about 500 people. They renovated their local theater. It seats about 80 people, and they're really proud of their Steinway piano that they bought and have kept in good shape for their concerts. And they always have the best pictures and really wonderful outreach photos. So yeah, it's awesome here. So going on to requirements for showcasing. So here's the general process, and we'll dive into these in a second. But first step is to apply. And the deadline is April 25th. There is an application fee that you do have to pay. And it's between, I think it's $20 for Montana artists and $50 for all other artists. And there's an early bird deadline, so you can save $10. And yeah, so that's done through iwanttashowcase.ca. And then you would have to pass the selection process with our jury. And then accept your invitation by signing the showcase agreement, or accept your 5 for 5 invite if you are chosen to be an alternate, or just chosen as a 5 for 5 spot. You do have to officially join MPAC and pay your dues, which are good for a year, and become a member. And then you do have to register for the conference. And I can give you a link to all of that at the end of this. You can find it under the membership section of our webpage right now. So that's the overview of how to showcase, or how to, meet the requirements for showcasing. And right now, I think I'm going to pause this application and just go through the actual platform itself. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or come off mute while I transition. Okay, so here is the website for iwanttashowcase.ca. We are one of several partners on this platform, and you can go to partner conferences and see all of the other ones here. There's many Canadian conferences, but also Arts Northwest, Arts Market, which is NCPC, North Carolina, and Ohio is on here as well, I think, or it was, or it will be. I'm not sure when they open up their showcase application. So signing up for an account is pretty simple. You basically just put in your email and set up a password, and then you are in. I've already done that, so I'm going to just log in and do this. So this is what the inside of it looks like. You can go up to partner conferences. If you click on MPAC, you can view our profile. And if you have any questions, this might be a good place to start. This has general information about the conference, an overview of the main events that are important there. And under showcase provisions, it specifies what the conference provides if you are going to be a showcase artist. Like, we do provide some backline, there will be general lighting, and we do have professional sound engineers working as well. And the criteria on how the artists are picked is specified here. And terms and conditions, all the fun fine print that is on this page, and this is our profile page. And if you go to apply now, you'll be asked to do a couple of things. One, it might ask you to create a profile, and just to clarify, a profile is essentially like the applicant, and sometimes an agent is applying on behalf of an artist, and so the profile would be either that agent or it would be the self-represented artist. So, so to add a performer to apply, you would just click on that button, and you could choose, you have to fill out this information. And I'm just going to go ahead and sort of do this so that way we can move on. United States, and let's pretend we are in Missouri. All right, and one thing that is new is that IWTS has this open data option where they have basically a Canadian database of all these performers, and it's a way for them to continue sharing information about each performer that has an account here, or each agent with other presenters. It stays sort of like in this business sector, so you can choose to do that or not. Let's see if this will let me save my profile. Oop, forgot one thing. Oh, I'll do this. Let's see if it will let me do this. Okay, so we've got one sample performer in here, and we can go to create an application. And you do need to choose your conference. We'll choose MPAC and keep going. All right, so this gives you an idea of things to have prepared. If you don't have it all ready to go before you start the application, that is okay. You can save it and come back to it as many times as you need to until you submit it or until the deadline. So you have to agree to the terms and conditions, and then you get to start. And so from here, there are 6 different sections. And the nice thing about this platform is it will tell you when you're not done. It makes it very clear with this little red icon that you need to finish the section before you can actually submit your finished application. It is pretty simple. This stuff is pre-filled. This is the applicant details, and it starts with whoever is the holder of this account. So it might be the agent's details, and these details can be customized for each application if they're slightly different for each artist or for each conference. And yeah, so you'll provide performer details below that. A performer description is just short biography, basically. It's kind of something about that might be in the about section of your website. Your email, where you're coming from, your pronouns, your websites. There are multiple URLs available, so that way you can put down the URLs for your different social media as well. Okay. And then the next section can be, well, you can do any one of these. You don't have to go in any specific order. For touring info, it asks you for 4 different sets of fees because it's understood that if you get a tour and you are able to have more engagements on that tour, that you might be able to offer a slightly lower fee if you have like tons of interest and you're going to be stopping at a lot of places to perform on that tour. And that's important in places like Montana because it can be kind of hard to get out here. So we know that the goal is to try to block book as best as possible. Block booking is a priority for the presenters as well, especially those small ones in the small communities, because that helps them just save on costs as well. The number of touring performers is important here. How many hotel rooms is a separate question, in case there is a couple that is in the group, or maybe the group is a married couple, they might not each need a hotel room. And here is a spot for describing your community education and outreach. And that is very important, so don't skip all that. A lot of our presenters are nonprofits that they're serving their communities in many ways, and one of them is bringing the arts to the schools, not just having like a main stage evening performance. So going on, there's promotion and publicity, like do you have press photos to provide or copy to provide for a program? Or do you take charge of doing a lot of social media posts? Do you have a poster template that you can provide? That's good to know. And then you can check off these boxes for the different types of outreach programs that you offer. And we ask for your 2 most viable touring months in the next season. And you can fill that out with as much detail as you feel, as you're comfortable with at this time. And that just sort of gives us an idea of when you're able to tour in case it comes up in like a block booking meeting. All right, so going on, photos and docs. This is quite important as well. You are required to submit some photos, and you can submit a file for your biography. If you have an electronic press kit or one sheet, you can also upload that here. Your technical requirements are also requested. Our jury does use that because we do want to make sure that the tech requirements are going to be manageable for our presenters. So, like not every presenter can present an entire, 3-ring circus. So if that's what like the tech writer looks like, they know like, okay, well, this might not work for most of the presenters coming to this conference. So, so that is important to include there. And For additional information, you can submit your tour schedule that is either from the past or looking ahead to the future, or both. That is up to you. Supplementary files, that's important. Sometimes we get comments like artists will mention like, oh, well, I really wish I had been able to showcase or highlight this aspect of what I offer. And you should feel free to use the supplemental file for that purpose. I am just looking in our chat. In the EPK, can you include links to media? Yes, you can. It's the file type is pretty flexible. And so as long as that is like hyperlinked or the full link is available in the text, you can feel free to put that in there. I believe now if you save a file as a PDF with hyperlinks, it should retain those links. I can't guarantee that every jury member will click on every link, but you can make them available there. All right, so going on to the next section. Audio and video. So this is also another section where you can submit work samples, and typically they are YouTube videos or a video that's hosted on the cloud elsewhere. We do allow you to submit links for either video or for audio. This is very straightforward. And the thing to remember as you're choosing your samples is, are they videos that, A, is the quality good? And B, does it really represent what your show is going to be? And does it communicate that well? Sometimes we'll get a video sample where, say, like the concept sounds really cool, but the jury can't quite tell like what the show is going to be for maybe like an entire 90 minutes, like you know, or somebody, as an example, there was someone that had a really great kids show and had like maybe an album of all of this music for kids. And he did his work was really great. His sample is very high quality, but he actually offered a show that was for both kids and adults. And you know, and it wasn't just a kids show, but you couldn't really tell that from his work sample. So just try to choose something that will make it clear like what you're offering. So yeah, and that's pretty simple because they're just links basically. There's no upload option here. All right, and then for showcase info, so this is actually a pretty short section as well. Proposed showcase. What can the audience expect in terms of storyline, experience, repertoire? What you plan to showcase should be what you plan to tour. That's a really great point. The fine print in this application is really great. So depending on what you put down here, this might be something that goes into the program, if it's more appropriate than say like your bio. But and I usually double check that with artists before I print a program. But this sort of clarifies more what those 12 minutes will be like. So someone can compare it to your actual artist bio. The alternate performance is an important question as well. For us, that alternate performance is 5 for 5, or the quick pitch. I'm seeing that they don't use that vocabulary here in this paragraph, but that's basically what it is. If you say yes to this question, then we'll know that we can, you know, invite you to be an alternate and also possibly be doing one of the 5 quick pitches. And this last question, is an outreach performance included in your main stage performance fee? That's a point of clarification that helps our presenters know like upfront what's going on as far as your fees are. There's that other section where you specify the fees. Some artists will say like, my fee for one show comes with one hour outreach event. But that's not true for everyone. So this is where you have a chance to clarify. And let's see. I think that's basically it. So you can't make a payment until you are at least done with your contact information. This is new as of this year. So if you've used this platform before, that's a new thing. I think we did have some confusion before where artists did not actually complete their application, but they did pay for it as one of the first couple of steps. And so they thought they were done, but actually they were not. And usually we have a lot of opportunities to follow up with those folks and say, hey, I see that you paid for your application, but it's actually not finished. Will you go and finish submitting all of the information? So the payment portal, I can't go to it right now, but it's pretty straightforward, and it accepts all kinds of currencies. So yeah, that is the application portal. And let me just go back to my other screen to make sure I didn't forget anything. Nope, I think I got it. Are there any questions? All right, so I'll keep going with some tips.
Should I, can I reiterate something too?
Yes.
As like I've been on a couple juries now, and definitely having a clear outreach as part of your application goes like bumps you up as far as our consideration. Also, be careful. We had somebody send us a video and we couldn't even hear them play because they just had a phone on a table or something, and all we could hear is that people were talking, and all that meant to us as a jury is that they weren't interesting enough to even like have the room quiet down to listen to them play. So just kind of like think about the quality of video, even in your own house, where we can really hear what you're doing. It's pretty easy any now with at this time with phones and putting them on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the outreach is a big deal, and being really clear about what you're like. I would suggest as artists like to kind of have like think about what you could actually do as an artist with outreach, because it's kind of it's part of the deal anymore as far as getting monies.
Thank you, Rob. That's great. And that actually that's pretty much what I was going to mention on this page. So thank you so much. As Rob said, the outreach matters. And honestly, especially in these small communities where there's maybe only one presenting organization, and that's the only way people experience the performing arts, these community leaders that make this stuff happen, they are thinking about the next generation of arts advocates and supporters, and the next generation of outreach. So, or of the next generation of performing artists. Excuse me. So they do want the youth in their communities to experience that, but also like in being fair and true to yourself. That first bullet point that kind of touches on this as well. We often think of outreach as like the default is going to a school and doing a school show, but it can be a lot of other things too. It can be playing a show for seniors. It can be doing something geared towards certain types of support groups or community groups. There was one really wonderful artist group. It was a couple, singer-songwriter couple, and they said, we love playing for kids and stuff, but what we really want to do is like visit like women's support groups or like juvenile centers for people that are like needing some like a very specific type of message. Like, and it was like, well, yeah, that's what you excel at. That's what you're comfortable with. And that's what you do well. Make that really clear, because there's certainly, a need for that as well. And so, yeah, just going back through this and being fair to yourself, do make your fees what you're actually comfortable with. And when you're crafting the description for your showcase or your group, stick with your strengths and your passion. It is Montana. People do like country music out here, but that's not all that they like. You don't have to like try to put yourself into a certain mold that you think Montanans will like. Just do what you are truly good at, and that's worked well for you. And our audiences are actually quite, they have very diverse tastes, and some of them will surprise you and some of them will love being surprised by you. So, so just keep that in mind. Rob did a really great job of talking about work samples and making sure the quality is good. Keep in mind that the jury may only be able to see the first few minutes of a video. So if you send something that's like 20 minutes long, they might not be able to listen to all 20 minutes. That's actually really unlikely. Flexibility is a great thing to make sure people are aware of. If you have a group that can be either a 2-person duo or a 6-piece band and anything in between, that's really good for people to know. If your technical needs also can be arranged, like if you just go with a duo and your setup is very simple, that's great to know. And if you take your whole 6-piece band and you need a lot more, that's fine. Just make that really clear that you have that wide range available. There are some bigger presenters that come to the conference that will book the big version of a show, and then that group will morph into the trio or the duo version of what they do, and then go visit other smaller communities in the area. So that's a helpful thing. And again, use the supplementary file option if you have more that you want to say. Like if you feel like the application prompts did not fully draw out the best of what you have to offer, use that supplementary file to do that. So yeah, take advantage of that. If you have questions, you can go to our website and go to the showcase page. It's under the conference section of our website and that main menu. From there, you will find links to the I Want to Showcase YouTube channel, and they have this really great playlist where they have another video that walks through the different sections of their application. And so that's really useful as well. And you can also email me with your questions if you still can't find what you need. And that's totally fine. My email is all over the website and it's right here, and I'll make sure that you have it. You'll have this slide deck when we have the recording available. All right, so other ways to engage aside from that, and I'm just gonna make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Looks like we're good. Again, if you don't get that 12-minute showcase opportunity, there are other things that you can do, or even if you do have it, there are other things you will want to make sure that you do. 5 for 5, again, is our quick pitch opportunity. It's very simple. There's not really a tech crew that's available to set up a lot of backline. So if you get invited to do that, keep in mind you might have to bring your own amp, or just plan to just speak for 5 minutes about your program offerings with a microphone. Sometimes we do have a little bit more than that, but it really just depends, because most of our sound crew is in the theater dealing with the rehearsals. You can register for the conference and attend whether or not you are picked for a showcase. You are welcome to do that. You can use the time at the conference to visit with your fellow artists and agents, and I highly recommend that. I actually started out as a manager for 2 chamber music ensembles in Montana, and I learned a lot from the other people in the exhibit hall that were my neighbors, and just from talking to other agents and people who had a lot of touring experience. So I highly recommend that. I also suggest getting the catered conference meals. We do offer them as a separate option that you can pay for if you want to do that. But sitting down to eat with people is another way to continue conversations that you might have started in, say, like the exhibit hall or in a workshop. You can become a member and you can access our directories that way. And you can also buy an advertisement or sponsor part of the conference. And I mentioned this because, not just because it's like a plug for supporting the MPAC conference, because that's important, of course, but people have actually done that when they realize they missed the application deadline or found out about it too late or have a conflict and they can't physically be at the conference. Sometimes they'll buy an ad. And also the jam session. If you register for the conference and you don't do the showcase and you don't do the 5 for 5, you can still be in the jam session. So there's always that. And I highlight that again because there's always somebody who doesn't realize that the jam session is happening somehow, but it is happening. It's always Saturday night. If you come to MPAC's conference, stay all the way through Saturday night. Feel free to leave early on Sunday morning, but Saturday night is where a lot of fun happens. So that is basically it for me. I am happy to take your questions, and I'll go ahead and stop sharing too, if anybody has any. And we actually have a few minutes for that. Great. Or Rob, feel free to jump in if I forgot something, or you thought of something else that everyone should know. All right, wow, I guess I prepared really well and answered everyone's possible question. But if you think of something later on, again, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available by email. I think my phone number is also on the website, and it's always in my email signature. So yeah, thank you again for coming to this webinar. Thank you for your interest in Montana. And yeah, and again, if you have any questions about maybe not the showcase or the conference or just driving in Montana, actually mostly like looks like this right now in some places, not everywhere, but but that's something to be prepared for if you do have a tour and say, you know, right now in February, March, or even the end of April. You just never know.
Thank you,
yeah.
Emily.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Take care. Stay warm, everyone, or enjoy Hawaii if that's where you are. And yeah, thanks everyone. And
thank you.
hopefully
Thank you very much.
in Great Falls soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good.